Hello everyone, good morning. IDB Bali Design Week presents a creative talk with Alexis Dernier, Design Experience versus Design Thinking. I'm Dewi Estede, a lecturer from IDB Bali who will host today's talk show. Very happy today to accompany Mr. Alexis Dernier in sharing about his works, his incredible masterpieces, and at the same time discussing the topic of design experience versus design thinking based on his perspective. But before we start the talk show, I want to share about the rules, which are: one, attendees should turn off webcam and mic during the talk show. Two, Q&A will open on discussion session after the talk show. Three, attendees could ask by using chat feature or raise hand. Plus, before starting, we will give the IDB public relation time to give a little introduction about the IDB Bali. We welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Mrs. Dede. And thank you for all for joining this presentation. And it's an honor to meet you all. Can you hear my voice? No? It's okay? Good? Yes. Just wait a moment. I will prepare for the presentation. Yes. Did my presentation show on your screen?
Hello? We cannot listen to your voice, please.
Hello, Miss SDB. Yes, I have some technical mistakes. Can I have the 3 minutes or 2 minutes to get this preparing for this presentation?
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we wait for him, of course. But I want also to say thank you for the colleagues that joined us today from IAA Bali and also from another university, from Urban Sketcher, and also all of the participants that joined us. And while we wait, I want to read about the biography of Alexis Dernier. So I want to tell you a little bit about him, of course. Alexis Dernier was born in Germany in 1981, studied architecture at the Berlin University of the Arts, after which he relocated to New York City to work as an architectural designer for Accepted Architecture, Oma NY and Rex between 2004 to 2007. 2013 marked as a radical shift in Dorner's life and career when he decided to leave his Western life behind and moved to Ubud, Bali when he began consulting on locally designed and built architectural projects. So we would say hello to Mr. Alexis Durner first. Hello, Mr. Alexis. Could you hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
So,
yes, I can.
Yeah,
Nice to
but
see you.
still wait for the presentation first from IDB Bali, and
Sure.
after that we will continue the talk show. Thank you.
Thank you for waiting for me, Mrs. STD and Mr. Alexis. Thank you for all the participation and waiting for me. And let me introduce myself. My name is Dede, and you can call me Didi or Dede. I'm as the Public Relation and Marketing from Bali Design and Business Institute. Yes, next. Yes. In Bali Design and Business Institute, we have 5 majoring. The first one is Design, Communication, and Visual. Design, Communication, and Visual have the concentration that you have to choose at the older semester. And the first one is the advertising. And the second one is the animation. The third one is the cinematography. The fourth, photography. And then the last is business multimedia. Next. And this is the student projects from Design, Communication, Visual that you can see on your screen. This is the packaging and the design for poster. And then this is in the bottom of this one, this is animation. You can look at that. This is cartoon. It's like, you know, Upin Ipin. Yes, we do have this studied like create some animation like Upin Ipin, like Doraemon, Naruto or something for the animation. Yes. Next. Yes, the second for the majoring at Bali Design and Business Institute is interior design. And this design interior have the 3 concentration. 2. For the first one is animation and photographies. And the second is exhibition and the product. And the last one is business interior. Next, yes. Yes, you can see this is our student project for interior design. This is for the design interior for graphics and animation. So we studied to create some 3D model for the interior design. You can see this one. This is the design interior for restaurant, design interior for exhibition place, and then also in this like the kitchen set, the cafe for design interior. Yes, this is our project student. And then that one, the third is the fashion design. Yes, for the fashion design, we do have 2 concentration that the student choose at the 5 semester. Is the first one is product fashion design, and the second is fashion merchandise or fashion marketing. Next, yes, this is our student project for the fashion design. And this is like COVID killings. Is COVID killing design is create was like last year for the first we have the pandemic in 2020, and then in the middle the blue one is like we have create for the fashion design, but not create, but we have some philosophy of it. Yes, we have some mean of that color, mean of the design to be show on this campus. And usually we have some showcase in the like we have this some exhibition place in Denpasar, like it's called Alaya. The Dharma Alaya is like have the place to show the all art, all the Denpasar. If the Denpasar have the art show or art collective, we doing the show at the Dharma Alaya. Yes, and there's button fashion merchandise. This is we have the create design for necklace, ring, and like the traditional Balinese for the married traditional Balinese, and also we create some shoes for the fashion merchandise. You can see this is one. This is our student is preparing to create the some fashion merchandise. Okay, next. Next, this is our digital business. Digital business is the new one, the new majoring in Bali and Design, Bali Design Business Institute. The last year our name is Design School, and now we upgrade to the next level from Bali Design School to Bali Design and Business Institute. Yes, and we add more majoring. This one, this is digital business. For digital business, we have the concentration. Sorry, in this digital business, we have concentration. The first one is creative digital marketer. The second is e-commerce UMKM or e-commerce SME. The third one is the digital tourism business. Next, yes, in Bali digital, in the business digital, we studying about how do we marketing, how we market our product in online, how we create the good content for our product in e-commerce. As we know today, we do not book some fashion or book something things on the place, but we do online shop, we do online shop and Shopee, Tokopedia, eBay, or something like that. So in the digital business, we are studying about how do we improve our product on digital, how we create the copywriting for engagement. Yes, next. Yes. For the facilities. The facilities from Bali Design and Business Institute, we have the most big IMEC laboratory in Bali. So you look at this one, we have the biggest IMEC lab in Bali. And for the lobby, we have the long lobby to show our student project from design communication visual, interior design, fashion design, and also digital business. Next. Yes, this is our laboratory of fashion, and this is the computer laboratorium and assistancy room, and also the lab computers too. So we have more than 2 computer laboratorium in Bali to improve our lecturer and student to get the best studied design in Bali. Next. Yes, we do also have the photo studio. You can see. Yes, we have this the best lighting, the best background, and also the best camera. to use to improve our studying in Design and Business Bali. And also, don't worry about your parking in our campus, because our parking is big. We have the third floor of parking here. So the first floor is the for car, and the second and third is for the motorbike. Yes, next. Right. Well, we do some certification too in Bali Design and Business Institute. Next. We have the certification for digital marketing and certification for design graphics. For the international certification, we have the association with Adobe, Adobe, and Autodesk, Microsoft, and also Microsoft Technology Associate and the Microsoft Office Specialist. Next. Yes. 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 Thank you. That's all our presentation, and I apologize for some technical mistake, and I hope in the future we need to prepare it first. And then for the registration, today we have open the scholarship for 3 million. If you would like to join our campus in Bali Design and Business Institute, and if you want to ask some question, or you need to look after our campus, or you would like to have the campus tour, yes, you can reach us at this phone number and the line official also, and the Facebook and the account Instagram and the WhatsApp number. So if you would like to take a tour campus, just come to us or contact us at this contact number, and you can call me or contact me at this number. Yes. Don't be hesitate to contact, just enjoy, no, just relax. So we will accompany you touring on this campus, and we will introduce our campus, and also we will explain how about the future, how about studying in this campus, and also we will tour for our facilities to campus. Okay, that's all my presentation about Bali Design and Business Institute. And Miss Dewi, take the time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dede, for the introduction. So we back to Mr. Alexis Dorner. Hello, Mr. Alexis. Okay, really great to having you here right now. Yeah, how are you? Can you unmute your mic?
Unmute. All right.
Okay. Okay, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm great. I've heard a lot about you, and finally we met virtually, so I'm so happy.
That's good. That's good. Perfect.
So let's we start the talk. Yeah, of course. And based on your biography, is your move to Bali being one of the biggest decision in your career? And what is the difference when you work in Germany, USA, and then in Bali? Is there different steps from design process or adaptation?
Yeah, so well, I came here in 2013 just to help a friend. I didn't know about the island or Indonesia. So it was more coincidence that I came here, and obviously, right, I like it a lot. And first of all, because of the beautiful people and the culture that I am surrounded by, and this just remarkable traditions that is something so present in everyday life, you know, starting from the uh, the uh, the way that people dress, the way that people have ceremonies, the way that how much care everyone you is putting into these traditions and ceremonies. I think it's a remarkable, unique thing that you don't see in many other places in the world. So that's why Bali is so exceptional, and the high level of tolerance for, you know, bules like me is very nice. I know that there are some bad examples there, so I apologize for them. But I really enjoy working here and living here, first of all, with my family. My son is 8 months old, and it's, you know, there's so much nature. And all these things are obviously impacting me. You know, if you are from Jakarta or if you are from any other big city in the world, this is a different environment with different ideas and different inspiration, right? So the inspiration of Bali is to find, you know, next to the culture and the people and the buildings like temples and you know, these structures. Also, of course, the craft, the artisan abilities in wood carving, in stone carving, in terracotta, in so many materials, which makes it very exciting to do design. So you have a unique heritage on this specific place on the globe. Right? So I think studying here is very amazing, as you have access to traditional arts and crafts. So, and this is what inspires me in my work, to get back to your question, to see people working on wood, on metal, on stone, and lava stone and limestone, all these things. So the incredible woodwork and so forth. So yeah, that's inspiring me, and I think it should inspire, or can inspire, everyone that's here.
So usually, how do you find your inspiration when you create a building or interior design?
I mostly, you know, you observe your environment, you observe nature, you observe people, materials, and then you see, well, how can I use this? Or how can I integrate this into, you know, to the work? So saying maybe you're making a building for somebody, or like a piece of furniture or something, then you are thinking, what is the capacity of the material itself, right? Understanding the behavior of the material, experimenting, combining materials and so forth, beyond the level of what you know about it. So inspiration is just like a process of experimentation and taking one thing, combining it with another thing, and then just kind of allow yourself to discover something. Like, you use your curiosity to fuel your creativity. So you are curious to know, why am I thinking this way, or why am I attracted by this, or why do I like that? Because obviously we very much like what we're familiar with, that our parents have told us, that our teachers have told us, and then because they say, okay, this is good, so you must like this. So subconsciously, we have maybe a blurred vision of what we like. So challenging what it is that you feel comfortable with is definitely important when you create new things. As you're limited by your own surrounding, and that is the challenge in tradition as well, and the challenge in education as well. Is like, how can you break out and experiment beyond the level of where people say, well, this is right and this is wrong, right? So in other words, inspiration is like using the ability to, then the freedom to just explore mental continents inside of you, explore new material propositions, and then therefore design comes after this, right? So you're experimenting, and then maybe by coincidence you realize something, and then, oh, I could make this out of it, or I could make that out of it. So there are many ways to really be sure of it, to make it the same way all the time. So the design process, obviously, is always different.
Okay, for every project that you've created has its own character, but still in a line. So it's like a Dornier's signature. So could you tell us about the philosophy of your design?
Right. So I think a big part of, before you start anything, you give yourself enough time to observe your environment and your context, right? Mm-hmm. So you start to know your client, mm-hmm. their motivations, what makes them go out of bed in the morning, how much they want to spend, what it is that they want, maybe a chair, or maybe a lamp, or a small house, or medium or large structure. You then analyze the context, the physical context, by studying the surrounding of the place, and the, eventually neighbors, and you're looking at the way that the sun is traveling and where the wind is coming from, because you could use the wind to cool your buildings. You want to avoid the sun coming into through the glass, into the inside of the room. So you need to have overhangs, or you need to turn the building in a way that you're facing north or south, because obviously the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And as we're close to the equator, the sun goes really steep and there's not so much angle, right? So all these things one studies, and the more you study, the less options you have, right? In creativity, imagine you had to pick one color from out of the rainbow. There's like unlimited shades between each color. You cannot choose just based on your own intuition, your own feeling. You have to know what is possible in this context, what makes sense, because as a designer, you are solving a problem, right? How? So you have the problem, meaning the task, right? The problem is nothing bad. The problem is what you want to solve with your skills. So you really write down what the problem is, because sometimes we think we know but then we don't really go into depths of really understanding what is the task and what is the problem, because we think that we understand somebody, but every one of us sees the world in a completely different way. And that makes it very difficult to do something for other people because they don't think like you. They don't see like you. They don't smell like you. And their senses are very, very different, although we think that they see the world in the same way, which then, of course, causes sometimes a lot of difficulty, because then we start questioning the other person and may say that they are wrong, but they are right in their point of view. So quite interesting investigation on reality, right? So you have to spend a lot of time before you start drawing. Right? You spend a lot of time with understanding the task and the person and the context. What is actually my task? What is the context, the physical surrounding, including the weather and the elements? And only then you limit your color palette, and then you can make a few versions of your designs or just few options, and then you with your team and you talk with the client to make sure that you're still on the same path, right? Same alignment, because sometimes we turn on the wrong road because we're so sure about ourselves, and that again will create problems later on. So yeah, this is the design. So as you are the design process. So as the people are always changing and the context is always changing from task to task, this needs to be reinvented every time. You need to create a new relationship every time. You can't just copy paste something. It's very difficult. Just like you cannot copy paste what you see out there on Pinterest. You can be inspired by it or certain components, but you have to put it together yourselves, because everything already exists out there, right? You just put it together in a different way, like Tetris or something. Everything already exists. You just create a new configuration, which is unique to you, and that's what you bring to the world. However small or big that is. I think I can't hear you, Dewi.
Yeah, sorry, Mr.
No problem.
It's really inspiring. And so it's based on our topic today. What is, in your opinion, what is the differences between the design experience and design thinking? Maybe you could explain the framework, or could it be integrated or separated only, because it's gonna be a different result or not?
Yes. Well, the design thinking is essentially making a concept based on your imagination that makes sense to you, right? So a concept is something that you can explain. So you can explain that, and you say, well, because of this and this, I did that, and then, my concept is the abstraction of the brick wall transposed into the organization of a building, where you have the bricks itself, the apartments, and the mortar is the public circulation space that connects the bricks, right? So that is an image that you find in your environment, and you change the scale, and you use this as a conceptual aid or conceptual framework for your design. Or let's say you are organizing a city plan like a tree, you know, with like an artery, and then it branches out, and then it's like the palm in Dubai. If some of you may know that. It's like artificial islands that are made in certain shapes that obviously is an image, right? And then you use that image and you have a nice explanation, you know, for your developer, for the people that want to sell this project. You say, oh, it's clear, you know, I made this palm tree island. So this is a design thinking. Well, but when you are experiencing this design, it may be very different. You will not feel the tree, and you will not feel the brick wall, and you will not necessarily experience that nicely curated story in your head, because it may be so logical for you, but other people will be like, yeah, I don't experience the space like I do. So there's a constant dance between doing things based on your design thinking, but also remind yourself on how a space feels and how you would experience this object beyond your mere level of explanation. So it's very important that, you know, one doesn't get too much controlled by the head or too much controlled by the heart. You know, if you take heartfelt decisions only, let's see, if you're driven by experience, your heart is pulling you this way, and your mind is pulling you this way, right? So there's a paradox in us, you know, when you meet, you know, your girlfriend or boyfriend, you know, maybe your heart says this and your mind says this, right? You will have this paradox to the rest of your life. Where you say, oh, so you have this paradox as well in design, where you have these two forces acting inside of you, and they both have the right to be there because we consist of both at the same time. So how can we live with this paradox, and you know, and how can we design with this paradox is to constantly swim back and forth between these two. Like you're oscillating, you're vibrating, you're diving in and out. You're not being possessed by either one or the other. So, you know, when you are hijacked by your emotions, you may not do the right decisions that serve you as a long-term goal, as opposed to when you are too much driven by rationality, a part of your body will get cold, right? Or you as a person will get cold. So there's a lot about balance, you know, in one's life. And obviously everything we do, whether it's design or law or medicine or whatever everyone is working in, we always have these two forces acting inside of us. So we are aware of both of them at the same time. And that's why it's crucial to spot them inside of us. So yeah, that's design thinking versus design experience. It's, in another word, is the heart and the brain connection.
Yeah, when design thinking is about conceptual framework that people understand clearly, and then uh, it's gonna be paradox when experience design is about feels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we talk about feels, not everybody will think or feel the same things in our way.
Yes, that's the problem, right?
Paradox, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if you don't mind, would you like to share stories about some of project that you have worked on?
Yeah, of course I can share some stuff. So, well, this is part of the work that we have done or are doing. So there is anything from a small building to a bigger context, and many of these architectures are playing with the idea of combining vernacular or context with different aspects on contemporary design, right? So ideally, we have, when we look at an object, we see something that is relating to the past as to the future. It is something that embraces the local vernacular context, but at the same time it allows itself to experiment. And this is a project in Lombok called the Trinity, which is essentially a private residence that plays with the idea of sweeping sort of more or less typical roof shape in three different arms. And all these arms they have different functions in them. Some of them are entrance function and kitchen, back of house, and this is like the bedroom, and underneath is something else. So this is born from the idea of the understanding the topography. Yes, this is between two hills, and got actually two hills, and the prevailing view is in the other direction, right? So we're trying to combine different ideas with each other. We don't just stop with one idea. We try to make layers, different layers of design thinking in this case, right? So when you do design, I guess it's advisable that one can have not only one idea, but simultaneously a couple of ideas layered on top of each other. And that will make the design more rich. It's also more complex, right? So for example, this here, we have a lot of different ideas about rooms facing in different directions, but unified by one sculpture lifted off the ground, and articulating the sense of community on the inside where everything meets, like the staircase has a spine, still embracing the vernacular roof shapes, and while obviously creating something completely new, and you're sweeping and blending these different shapes into each other, and then something new comes out, and so the shape blend of a pitch, let's call it limasan, into something that's flat on create something really awkward, right? So awkward means something that is not familiar to us. And I think this is where we can grow. We can grow as people, we can grow. This is where exciting moments happen in design, whereas you take enough familiar content and you add a little bit of new, because if you just do the same thing over and over again, there's no progress, right? If you do something completely new without embracing culture, context, and the past, well, then it's hard to connect to it emotionally. You need to bring these things together. So many of these projects are playing with the idea of combining these different elements. And of course, what we really want to do in this tropical context is to have buildings that are blending into nature, because of, especially for me as a Bule, it's quite nice to have all this nature surrounding and this warm temperatures. We can do our different architecture as opposed to back home. So yeah, there's a mid-century notion in this mid-century design and architecture in this notion. Here we used material from Eco Bali recycling, which is Tetra packs that are shredded and pressed into a compound material that we use for the wall. As you know, obviously Bali has a huge trash problem, so we wanted to be part of the circular economy of using some of that trash and elevating it into a piece, at least a piece of architecture. So yeah, each of the projects, there's different ideas that are taking control. So different aspects about these feelings and emotions, and you know, one of the may take the lead. It's like you and your man sitting on the table. Inside you will have more to say than this. So in a architectural context, you know, maybe the site sometimes dictates you to do other things. In this case, we had like a very narrow lot, only 10 meters wide. So you actually see underneath this part of the studio is the driveway, right? So we occupy part of the driveway. You can't see it. Yes. So we occupied part of the driveway because the lot was so narrow. So you drive underneath here. And this alone, this simple idea of using this driveways obviously creates the prevailing architectural design sculpture. And then this large pitched roof is facing north. So there is no sun coming in here, which is important because if you're just putting this to east or west, you're getting baked by the sun. And that results in a high cooling load for the building, which is not something advisable. So when you make these big gestures, make sure you're doing them in the right direction, both literally and, you know, in a philosophical context. So I think most of our projects are driven by the attempt or the thought to contribute to the, you know, Indonesian design landscape in a way that it's integrated into the surrounding and tries to be not too loud while embracing local materials, short supply chains by using, things like parascrobocan and other materials that we find here, which gives so much opportunity for a nice design. In this case, it's a very, very simple building, but we just have the idea of creating this amphitheater. This amphitheater here. So which is a landscape element, and this landscape element is connecting to the Kolam Renang here, and that overlooks a really nice bay.
Okay.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is part of these designs that we do, but we also do light fixtures and furniture, and so not only architecture, but many things, because the process is always similar. Right?
Yeah. When I see your design, it feels like outside, but without being outside.
Right.
It's right. No boundaries between the outside and the inside. Okay, Mr. Alexis, we are open for the question and answer time right now for the discussion. So for everyone that want to ask Mr. Alexis about the topic today, please write down your question by chat feature or raise your hand to talk straight to Mr. Alexis. So while we wait, I want to ask you more, Mr. Alexis. So what is the most memorable project for you?
Yeah, probably the one that I'm working on right now, because it's the first house that I'm building for the family, for my family. So obviously or engaged in a different way when you build your own house, because you think different. So that may be the most memorable house that I have built, and it's made of reclaimed timber, kayu ubin from Kalimantan, and it is the reuse of an old jetty, like a boat jetty, and so we use all these different materials to build the house, which is a blend of a limasan and something else, right? Also like a little bit of a joglo piece, but not, don't worry guys, it's not the joglo like that. It's we have flat roofs, because I thought that was more appropriate, not flat roofs, slanted roofs. So I thought that was more appropriate for the context for me. So I wanted to do something that's very simple, that is inspired by Balinese vernacular architecture, and that uses recycled and reclaimed wood, has very small spaces. The bedrooms are only 3 by 4 meters, so it's 12 square meters. Very small, very compact, all with the least amount of air conditioning, so you can cross-ventilate. And we have a Ulin Shirap roof, and everything is off the ground, so all the snakes and the insects and everything can pass without passing through the living room. So yeah, so many ideas that where I reflect like how can we deal with beautiful architecture in this sense.
Yeah, I think to make a home for every designer, it could be something more idealist. It's coming up with a lot of ideas, and I think it's gonna be the masterpiece of the designer. Okay.
I don't know, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's you know, every day you wake up as a new person. You evolve, you know, as you get. You're a product of your environment. So that's why we like things today and we like different things tomorrow, and
Yeah.
everything is alive, right? It's a constant reshaping of our environment and ourselves. So that keeps it very exciting. So maybe the next house will be only made of concrete. I don't know. Anything is possible.
Okay, we have a question from Janet Wesif. Have you ever experienced client having to do so many revisions for clients that are very fixed with what they want and can visualize your concept to the point where your whole initial concept doesn't apply anymore? Have you experienced a project where you have had to do so many revisions? Have you ever, Mr.
Well, I
Rafi?
have, you know, just like every one of us and you guys encountering people that have a different idea about things. As we talked, everyone has a different understanding on life, and some people trust more in this constant change, that everything is part of something bigger and we're just doing our part in this. And so our perception of life and death is where death is nothing like too concerning, right? It's just part of it. Part of it. That's why, by the way, I love about Balinese culture is that everything is part of a greater cycle, and we're just, you know, like a wheel in a big engine just turning and turning, and whatever happens to us is meant to happen to us in a short essence. So some people have this relaxed state of mind and they trust the process a lot. Others don't, mostly because they act from a space of anxiety and scarcity, meaning that they think that something could be taken away from them, something could endanger them, and something could not be as good as they need it to be to tell other people how amazing they are. And so you are, especially when you're dealing with clients that are mostly motivated by money, that gets, and don't trust the process, that can become a very challenging process. And yes, then you jump from revision to revision to revision because, you know, you'll never make it right. There's no moment it's good enough, right? Because everyone says their behavior, but they feel about themselves and they are not good enough. That's what keeps things turning. And there are simple ways to say, just like when you are with a partner and you've tried 2, 3, 4 times with your girlfriend or boyfriend or wife or husband, it does not work. It's the most healthy that you split. And it is something that, you know, requires courage and open communication on everyone's end. And then you just part ways. And then you say, this did not work. you know, everyone tried. We've tried 3 times, and we no longer think that, you know, our time is spent wisely on the project. So that has happened very, very rarely compared to, you know, the overall scope of our body of work, but it has happened, and it's the mature decision making where you're like, okay, we tried 2 times, 3 times, it's not going anywhere, so I cannot be of service to you. And I encourage all of you out there who are working with clients like that, you're saying, you know, why don't we do this? We tried 3 more times, and if it doesn't work, you know what? We just settle and we part ways, because it also depends a little bit where you stand in your career. Because remember, you're always dealing with people's issues, and if they're very, very strong, it will be very difficult to come to a satisfactory outcome that is good for everyone. You know, you'll never, and then you will, over time, you will sharpen your senses on who it is that you're dealing with and how much baggage they bring along into the project. And it's very exciting to deal with people. And the more insecure they are, usually the more rugged the road on the design is. And if there's people that's like, you know what, I say this, and this is relevant and important for me. You're the expert. I'm not trying to do your job. This is why I'm helping you, because you're trained. And I may have different options, and yes, I am bring the money, but I have to you to follow and you guide on the way. Not everybody does that. It's difficult, just like complicated, like life is, right? Sometimes complicated. It's like when you try to go from Bali to Denpasar, and you're in a rush, and then life is like you have a truck in front of you, and then maybe you try very long to overtake that truck, and then you have 200 meters of free road before you hit the next truck going to Java or going to Sumba or somewhere else. So there's always another obstacle. There's always another Shiva. There's always another thing. Like once you lift this obstacle, there will be another obstacle in your way until you get used to that practice by not being overwhelmed by your emotions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alex. So we move to another question. Okay. Another question is coming from Intan, Gusti Abi Intan. A designer must have a correct characteristic in designing, especially an interior designer. Which do you think is better? Follow the trends that are famous now because of the demands of the time and consumer, or still maintain your identity design style? And how can we mix other design style with our own without leaving our own signature? So it's better follow the trend or stay in our signature, and how to mix between our style with another style. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's a very silly example, but, you know, use social media as an example. It's either a leader or you're a follower, right? You can choose to either lead or follow, but when you choose to lead, you're no longer busy with the idea of what do I need to do in order to be leading. That is not the right answer. It's you're being a leader, so to speak, is a side product. So I don't recommend following trends. I recommend looking inward and generating the design as a side product of the questions that you have that are a result of your curiosity, that you are just the explorer of your own mental continent. Because if you are very busy imitating, you are competing with the rest of the world, right? You are in such competition, especially the people that have done the trend, and you will lose your valuable time, and you will lose valuable energy that you could steer towards an internal discussion of what you think is exciting about materials, tasks, people, concepts, and so forth. It's very difficult to do that. That's why not everyone can do it. But you can train yourself, like just like you can learn anything else. You learn to not imitate, but still open to, because there's the danger of reinventing the wheel. If you're too busy trying to find out how a four-legged chair works, you know, you may do yourself a favor and look what's out there and what has been done, while still doing your own discourse. And so you don't follow, but you lead, for however small the audience, even if it's just yourself, the audience. Your follower is just you. So because the second you try to get reward by seeing other people and saying, well, if I do this, then I get rewarded, well, then you're most likely wasting your time. You're not competitive. You're not competitive in this sense. You're much more competitive when you create your own course, right? And then it's seemingly over time, and it takes a lot of time, and mostly like years and years, until somebody may see your stuff as being relevant. But then you don't even care about that aspect anymore. Of course, the more relevance you get, the more jobs you will get as well. So in the beginning, it's a very hard takeoff, just like, you know, a plane or a bird or whatnot. It's a very, very difficult and challenging phase, is the initial start of something. And then you just do whatever you can to get this job or get this opportunity that is given to you. You need to throw everything you have at it. And then slowly over time, you can get more and more selective, right? So you can either, let's say, you start as a construction worker that has the, you know, it has a certain amount of hours per day. And then when you work, you earn. And when you don't work, you don't earn, right? There's a direct connection between input and output. But then over time, if you ask yourself, well, how can I, you know, maybe use my brain to multiply my skill set that I have learned over time? And then, you know, you may be a tukang that can oversee 2 or 3 people, because you know that, you know, you have more knowledge and you acquire knowledge, and this is hard work. And then you may become a contractor, and then you may become a developer, and so forth, as an example that's not directly connected to design. So I think it is crucial to always, you know, question where you're at, and, you know, don't follow trends. Follow your own lead and ask yourself some valid questions, and then you can go forward.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alexius. And next, For the next question from Madevera, does the philosophical context on your work is a form of communication process through design? Is it important to have a certain message being visualized through design? How to convince the client to understand about the message that you want to bring up to the surface?
Yeah.
So what do you think about the message that you must transfer to the client?
Ultimately, you're always expressing, through whatever medium you choose, whether it be design or music or fine art, or even, or to be a lawyer or a security worker, a security guard, or whatever it is you do, you're always putting out sort of your current mental state of mind. So it can rank across all disciplines and all income demographics, right? It has nothing to do with establishment or money or success. You're always putting out in whatever shape and form your current state of mind, may it be through gesture, mimics, or if you are a designer, then the way your special attention detail, for example, well, that makes you a designer that is very detail oriented, and as a consequence you're not overlooking things really fast, which means you have trained your eyes and your mind to pick on small things, which ultimately will be beneficial. But that is not something that is God-given. That is not something that is either you have or you don't. This is simply something that you have learned or haven't learned yet. So you have, as a human, is an animal that has the ability to pretty much learn anything. It is not that one person has it and the other person doesn't. It's, you can, whether you're good at it or not is a different topic, right? Good at it meaning that you get, society reflects and rewards you in form of money or in form of whatever, in form of an IOU. So these things are important to think of. And this makes it exciting, knowing that you have the capacity to learn everything. If you're committed enough, and if you can overcome your own resistance, which is like breaking out of the familiar, literally freeing yourself from constraints and traditions. That doesn't mean you can't embrace them and celebrate traditions, but you are no longer entangled in them. So there's this constant dance between tradition and breaking out of that, right? How can you embrace something and still be free of it?
Okay, thank you. And this one for the last question is coming from Greg Santos. Good afternoon, Mr. Alexis and Ms. Dewi. I would like to ask, since we're discussing about design experience, what makes abstract painting so famous and worthy? I mean, it is well connected to design experience because it's mostly based on feels. What is in your opinion? Thank you.
Well, if you study Jackson Pollock, which is essentially the inventor of abstract painting, back in the 50s and 60s, Pollock was a very skilled person with a lot of craft. So you could just paint the perfect face, right, with the understanding for light and shadow, like gone through like the traditional training of painting. And so one has the skill set that is, so to speak, learned by thinking and training. And then this person is just entirely redefining what is value and what isn't value, right? So far craft was value because obviously you need a lot of time to draw a perfect face and a perfect, Renaissance painting about, maybe landscape or a portrait of some sort. And then the abstract painting in this era was the revolutionary idea of breaking out of conform, like this is how it's done, this is how it has to be done. And Marcel Duchamp was a artist by the time, affiliated with Pollock, but he was a sculptor. So whether you would chisel out a Michelangelo for years and years, and that would be a sort of proclaimed art, he just hang a toilet in the museum and says, well, this is art, So it's an intellectual experiment that is connected to what is society experiencing at this moment in time. So and so with abstract art, it's sort of a sensual experience that should be more sort of free of the headspace, free of the design thinking, and more targeted towards the feeling and the emotion that just sort of seemingly uncontrolled comes out of you. So abstract art back then, about 80 years ago, is different than today in a sort of society context. Of course, if somebody chooses to that form of painting, well, that is beautiful, and then it's up to the audience to like that. Maybe there's specific colors in there, maybe the canvas is different. But there must be something worth talking about, whether Pollock obviously had, as the pioneer of that, had a lot to talk about that. Well, today abstract painting is much harder to sell, literally, because it's already been done, right? It's already there, it has been there. And then it's just a very personal experience. And then, of course, your ability to market yourself as an artist, to find a gallery, to find an audience, to frame your personality in the context of that art. But I imagine it is not an easy task. But on the other hand, you could say, contemporary box architecture is out there and has been out there for 100 years already, like since Mies van der Rohe built his first works in the early 20s of the last century. We still are attracted by this timeless way of seeing architecture, and today people still build boxes, including us, right? So you find your little niche by making a box, but then you have heavily textured surfaces, you are having a different ornaments, you have different materials that confine this rather known envelope in architectural design. So you can paint on something on a different canvas, or you can paint a wall in an abstract way or whatnot. But it would be probably good to find out something innovative in this context.
So that's so inspiring. Do you have closing statement for today, Mr. Alexis, before we end the talk show?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the perfect closing statement, but I would just like to thank you in the interest of the work that the team is doing. I thank everyone that I can live and be here with my family, be inspired by your beautiful country and your beautiful island. So I just want to say thank you, and I guess that's it pretty much.
You're welcome, of course. So for the participant, please open your webcam because it's time to take a picture together. So please, I need help for the committee to prepare the screen capture. Okay, can you give the sign if we are ready for take the photo? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, and how many slides we have? Somebody can tell me for the how many slides we have right now?
5 slides, Miss Dewi.
Oh, okay, 5 slides. Okay, next. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next. 1, 2, 3. And the last one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much for Mr. Alexis for sharing today. It's really inspiring talk to you. And thanks for every participant that joined today. I hope it could be give more insight and inspiration for you too. So don't forget to fill the form for the attendance by the link that's shared on the chat. Thank you so much, Mr. Alexis, once more.
Thank you, and have a great day, everyone, and have fun studying.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. See you all. Bye-bye. And see you on IGB Design Week next year.